You encounter a coyote in the wild. Why running can be deadly. You're hiking alone in a remote part of the American wilderness. The sun is dipping behind jagged hills, casting long shadows across the scrubland. You're miles from the nearest road, the silence punctuated only by the rustle of leaves and the distant calls of birds. And then you hear it, a low, guttural growl that freezes your blood. You turn slowly and see movement between the trees. Sharp eyes, alert ears, a lean, wiry frame moving with uncanny precision. It's a coyote, or perhaps a small pack of them. In some regions, opportunistic predators like feral dogs or coyotes that have adapted to humans can be even more dangerous than their reputation suggests. Most people panic in this moment. Instinct screams, "Run!" But that is exactly what you must not do. Running triggers the predator instinct in the coyote. In an instant, you transform from a curious hiker into prey in the animal's eyes. Your heart races, your adrenaline spikes, and your body begins betraying you with trembling limbs and shallow breaths. Subtle signals the coyote reads instantly. Coyotes are intelligent hunters. They observe, calculate, and wait. They are not mindless. They are opportunists and strategists. Every movement you make sends a message. Are you a threat? Are you weak? Can I chase and catch you? The danger isn't immediate attack. It's miscommunication. A lone hiker who freezes, stands tall, and maintains awareness often survives. A hiker who turns to flee may provoke a chase. Coyotes, unlike wild wolves, are highly adapted to human presence. They know when to intimidate, when to test, and when to retreat. But they respond predictably to the same signals that all predators understand: fear, unpredictability, and flight. Let's analyze what's happening in this encounter. Your body is broadcasting unconscious signals, shaky hands and arms, interpreted as fear and vulnerability. Quick glances or darting eyes, perceived as indecision, potential panic. Turning your back or pivoting, a direct trigger for chase instinct. Coyotes are pattern readers. They have evolved to assess subtle cues over millennia. They can detect hesitation, changes in posture, and even micro-expressions that reveal your intent. When you panic and run, you are effectively communicating your role as prey. Now consider the environment. The American wilderness is full of obstacles: rocks, fallen logs, scrub, and hills. Your escape route may seem obvious, but predators have superior tracking instincts. Coyotes use terrain to their advantage, assessing escape paths, natural cover, and your position relative to the landscape. Running may place you in blind spots or choke points where the predator can strike. Every step counts. Psychology in this encounter is crucial. Fear narrows your focus, slows decision-making, and heightens physical tension. Your survival depends on mental control, understanding that you are not in a movie chase, you are in a negotiation with a highly adapted predator. Composure is your strongest weapon. Immediate survival strategies in this scenario include: stand your ground, plant your feet firmly, do not turn your back, maintain a steady, confident posture. Slow, deliberate movements. Raise your arm slowly to make yourself appear larger. Avoid sudden gestures that could trigger a chase. Eye contact. Watch the coyote, but do not stare aggressively. Show awareness without provoking. Verbal cues. A firm, low voice may assert presence without screaming. Back away slowly if needed. Never sprint. Move in a controlled manner while maintaining attention on the predator. These strategies are not guesswork. They exploit instinctive predator behavior. Coyotes, like all predators, seek the path of least resistance. Panic signals, flight reflexes, and sudden movements increase your risk exponentially. Most encounters end without injury. But the difference between survival and a painful attack often lies in the smallest details: posture, awareness, and calmness under extreme stress. Many survivors recount the terrifying moments when coyotes circled, testing boundaries, sniffing, and watching, a tense standstill where every second mattered. Lesson: in North American wildernesses, running is not an option. Your actions define the encounter. Calm, calculated behavior communicates that you are not prey. Awareness and understanding of predator psychology are your lifelines. Part 2. Coyote encounters. How awareness and strategy decide who survives. You've seen the predator. You've frozen. You've resisted the urge to run. Now begins the subtle, high-stakes dance that determines whether you leave the wilderness unharmed. In Part 2, we delve deeper into the mind of the coyote, what it seeks, and how your every micro-movement can tip the balance toward survival or danger. Coyotes are opportunistic, intelligent predators. Unlike wild wolves that hunt in coordinated packs with long-term strategies, coyotes have adapted to humans over generations. They are curious, calculating, and cautious. Each encounter is not random. It is a negotiation. They constantly weigh risk versus reward, and your behavior is the deciding factor. What coyotes observe in a human: posture and body language. Coyotes instantly gauge whether you are confident, fearful, or uncertain. Slouched shoulders, trembling hands, and sudden movements signal weakness. Eye movements, rapid shifts, darting eyes, or lack of eye contact indicate fear or distraction. Coyotes can interpret micro-expressions and small facial cues. Vocal signals, high-pitched screams, or panicked shouting often trigger predatory instincts. A calm, firm voice can assert dominance and control. Speed and direction, the decision to flee signals prey. Coyotes are hardwired to chase. Even a short sprint can provoke an attack, whereas slow, deliberate movements reduce risk. The environment as a factor. Coyotes use terrain to their advantage. Hills, fallen trees, rocks, and brush are part of their assessment. Running blindly can push you into traps, narrow passages, or visual blind spots. Observing your surroundings is critical. Every movement must consider escape routes, obstacles, and natural cover. Survival tactics. When facing a coyote, make yourself large. Raise arms. Hold jackets or backpacks above your head. Stand tall, shoulders back. The predator must perceive that you are not prey. Maintain eye contact. Not aggressive staring, but clear observation. Coyotes need to see that you are aware. Use firm verbal commands. Deep, controlled voice saying, "Go away" or "back off," can surprise coyotes accustomed to passive humans. Slowly back away. If retreat is necessary, move gradually without turning your back. Retreating while facing the animal communicates caution but not fear. Protect yourself if needed. Carry sticks, trekking poles, or any object that can create a barrier. Coyotes are rarely aggressive unless cornered or habituated to human food. Micro cues. Humans give. Unconsciously. Even without realizing it, subtle human movements can trigger predatory instincts. Fast breathing signals adrenaline spike. Shivering or shaking conveys vulnerability. Looking away or fidgeting suggests indecision. Every second counts. Coyotes calculate whether the potential reward, a bite, a chase, access to human food, outweighs risk. Humans who master composure shift the balance. Calm, controlled reactions communicate that the predator's efforts are unlikely to succeed. Real stories of survival. A hiker in Arizona encountered a single coyote approaching a campsite at dusk. Instead of running, she raised her arms, shouted firmly, and backed away slowly. The coyote paused, assessed, and retreated into the brush. In California, a trail runner startled a coyote pack. Remaining composed, he avoided eye contact initially, then stood tall and clapped loudly. The pack dispersed, leaving him unharmed. A camper in New Mexico mistakenly left food unsecured. When coyotes approached, he used a stick to make himself appear larger, shouted, and flung stones near them. The animals learned the campsite was dangerous, avoiding it in the future. Why some survive and others don't. It is rarely about luck. Survival depends on 3 key factors: awareness, understanding the predator's behavior and reading its cues; control, suppressing panic, managing adrenaline, and moving deliberately; strategy, using posture, voice, and environmental knowledge to signal that you are not prey. Coyotes respect calculated humans. They test boundaries, circle, and assess opportunities. Those who remain calm stand their ground and assert dominance without aggression usually walk away unscathed. Those who panic, run blindly, or make erratic gestures provoke the chase instinct, which can escalate into an attack. Lessons from predator psychology. Encounters with coyotes are not accidents. They are high-stakes negotiations in which your behavior communicates value and threat. The predator is weighing cost and reward, testing limits and responding to signals. Survival hinges not on luck, but on reading cues, maintaining composure, and acting strategically. Every wilderness encounter is a lesson in understanding the delicate balance between human vulnerability and predator instinct. Coyotes are not mindless. They are intelligent survivors. Humans can survive by adapting, learning to communicate through posture, voice, and controlled movement. The next time you hear a rustle in the brush, or see eyes reflecting in the fading light, remember, running is not the answer. Standing your ground, controlling your fear, and asserting your awareness can turn a potentially dangerous encounter into a story of survival. Part 3. Coyotes, Wild Dogs, and Survival. The rules of the encounter. By now you've learned what coyotes look for in a human, how micro-cues unconsciously reveal vulnerability, and the basic tactics that allow someone to survive a sudden encounter. But survival is not a simple checklist. It is a dynamic interaction between a human and a wild, intelligent predator. In Part 3, we dive deeper into the nuances, exploring predator psychology, real-life encounters, and advanced survival strategies that drastically improve your chances when facing a wild canine. Understanding the predator's mind. Coyotes, wild dogs, and similar predators operate on a combination of instinct and learned behavior. They are opportunists and strategists, not mindless threats. Each predator evaluates 3 key factors when deciding whether to approach or attack: risk versus reward. If the potential prey seems strong, alert, or unpredictable, the predator often retreats. If the human appears weak, distracted, or fearful, the predator may press closer. Environmental advantage. Predators assess terrain, cover, and escape routes. They look for narrow paths, obstructed lines of sight, or areas where a human's movement could be restricted. Group dynamics. Coyotes often hunt in pairs or small groups. Even a single coyote will assess the possibility of backup from its pack before escalating behavior. Wild dogs or feral canines often coordinate attacks silently, using subtle signals that humans rarely notice. Understanding these principles is crucial. You are not merely a victim. You are a participant in a high-stakes negotiation, and the predator is testing your behavior long before it decides whether to escalate. The micro-cues that give humans away. Humans unintentionally reveal much more than they think. Predators are experts at detecting micro-signals of fear, rapid breathing and trembling. These cues indicate elevated adrenaline and vulnerability. Coyotes interpret these signs as an opportunity. Fleeing or erratic movement, any sudden dash, triggers chase instincts, often turning curiosity into aggression. Avoiding eye contact or looking around nervously. Predators read this as indecision or lack of dominance. Subtle noise, rustling a backpack, shifting your weight on leaves or dry brush, or coughing can draw attention. The key lesson is that composure is more than psychological. It is survival strategy. Your body language sends signals that predators decode instantly. Real-life encounter stories. The Northern California trail runner. A solo runner encountered a small pack of coyotes at dusk. They approached from different angles, circling cautiously. Instead of panicking, the runner slowed his pace, raised his arms, made firm vocal commands, and slowly retreated while maintaining eye contact. The coyotes tested him repeatedly, but ultimately retreated. Arizona desert hiker. 2 hikers startled a single coyote guarding a carcass. One panicked and ran, the other froze, expanded his posture, and shouted firmly. The coyote chased briefly but abandoned the pursuit when it realized the calm hiker was not prey. The panicked hiker later admitted he almost got bitten before the other intervened. Texas wild dog encounter. A camper in a remote area was approached by a wild dog pack. Using the logs to appear larger, maintaining steady eye contact, and slowly backing away while making deliberate noise, the camper avoided conflict entirely. The pack circled, sniffed, and eventually dispersed, leaving the human unharmed. Each story demonstrates a principle. Predators respect composure, strategy, and calculated dominance, not speed or panic. Advanced survival tactics. To survive a wild canine encounter, basic awareness is not enough. You must adopt advanced tactics. Assert physical presence. Extend arms, lift jackets or backpacks to appear larger. Make deliberate movements that fill your visual space. Use controlled aggression. Firm vocal commands are psychological weapons. Back off. Or stay. Delivered in a deep, steady tone creates uncertainty in the predator. Slow, deliberate retreat. Step back gradually, never turning your back. Each step communicates awareness, caution, and control. Environmental utilization. Place obstacles between yourself and the predator. Fallen trees, rocks, or uneven terrain can slow pursuit. Tools and weapons. Walking sticks, trekking poles, or any portable object can create a physical barrier or threat. Even throwing small rocks near, not at, the predator signals danger and deterrence. Predict predator behavior. Coyotes may circle, pause, or vocalize. Recognize the signs of escalation. Growling. Piloerection. Raised fur. Intense staring. React preemptively with posture, voice, and controlled movement. Mistakes that lead to fatal encounters. Despite common myths, running is almost always the worst choice. It triggers predatory instincts and removes control. Other mistakes include panicking and freezing completely, which may seem submissive, but can provoke curiosity and testing. Ignoring environmental context, leading to corners or blocked escape routes. Overestimating the predator's fear of humans. Habituated coyotes and wild dogs can be bold if accustomed to human presence or food sources. Psychological component of surviving is as much about mental discipline as physical action. Your confidence communicates to the predator whether you are prey. Every micro-expression matters. Hesitation, doubt, and fear are rapidly decoded. Training yourself to stay calm under pressure changes the outcome dramatically. The negotiation. An encounter with a coyote or wild dog is a negotiation. The predator evaluates. Dominance. Are you asserting control through posture, voice, and presence? Vulnerability. Do your movements and micro-signals suggest weakness? Risk assessment. Will attacking you cost more than the potential gain? By maintaining composure, using environmental advantages, and demonstrating strategic dominance, you can communicate that you are not worth the risk, often ending the encounter without physical confrontation. Closing thoughts. Every encounter in the wild is a story of strategy, awareness, and calculated risk. Coyotes and wild canines are highly intelligent survivors, constantly adapting. Humans survive by understanding these predators' psychology, controlling fear, and using deliberate strategies. Panic, rushing, or misreading cues drastically reduces chances of survival. When you next venture into the wilderness, remember, you are entering a realm of intelligence, instinct, and negotiation. Each movement, glance, and breath is part of a silent dialogue with a predator. And in this dialogue, calmness, awareness, and strategy are your lifelines. Part 4. Coyotes, wild dogs, and hyenas in the U.S. Mastering survival. Entering the wilderness of the United States is stepping into a world ruled by instincts, survival strategies, and unspoken laws. Coyotes, feral dogs, and in rare cases, hyena-like scavengers, escaped exotic pets or feral populations are all predators that humans may unexpectedly encounter. Understanding their behavior is not optional, it is critical to survival. Unlike fictionalized depictions in movies, wild predators do not act randomly. They calculate risk, assess opportunity, and test weaknesses before committing to any attack. The intelligence of coyotes and wild canines. Coyotes are not mere scavengers, they are problem solvers. In urban and rural areas alike, they learn from experience, observing human patterns, traffic flows, and habitual movements. They have been seen studying hikers, campers, and livestock handlers for hours, understanding timing, spacing, and escape routes. Unlike aggressive wolves, coyotes tend to avoid humans unless desperate or habituated. But when they do approach, every movement is a test. Wild dogs and feral populations in the U.S. operate similarly, often in packs. Hyena-like behavior, seen in rare feral populations, combines scavenging intelligence with pack coordination. These predators are opportunistic, strategic, and socially complex, capable of silent communication and coordinated maneuvers to isolate and intimidate perceived threats. How humans signal vulnerability. Every encounter begins before a predator makes physical contact. Humans signal vulnerability in subtle, unconscious ways. Posture. Hunched shoulders, looking down, or keeping arms close to the body signals submission. Movement patterns. Hesitation, erratic steps, or abrupt changes in direction can provoke curiosity or a chase response. Vocalizations. Whispering, nervous laughter, or high-pitched sounds communicate fear. Predators perceive these as indicators of prey. Environmental neglect. Failing to notice surroundings, not making eye contact, or standing near confined spaces increases risk. A predator interprets these microsignals in milliseconds. Survival requires training the mind and body to broadcast strength and awareness from the first second. Real-life survival cases. Colorado. Backpacker. A solo backpacker encountered a pair of coyotes near a water source at dawn. Initially, they observed silently. When the backpacker froze and avoided eye contact, one coyote approached closer. Using controlled vocal commands and deliberate movements to appear larger, the backpacker prevented escalation, and the coyotes retreated without aggression. New Mexico desert hiker. In the late evening, a small feral dog pack approached a group of hikers. One runner panicked and sprinted, provoking one dog to give chase. Others froze, expanded their posture, and shouted firmly. The fleeing hiker was quickly overtaken by panic but not harmed, as the dogs were testing for vulnerability. By controlling fear and regrouping, the hikers avoided bites and kept the pack at a safe distance. Southern U.S. feral hyena report. A feral hyena-like animal in a rural area circled a lone camper. Unlike coyotes, this animal was bold, vocal, and tested boundaries. The camper used logs, chairs, and a flashlight to appear imposing, while slowly retreating to the safety of a vehicle. The predator eventually disengaged after perceiving the human as a non-prey threat. These examples illustrate a fundamental truth. Calm, strategic behavior dramatically increases survival odds, while panic, haste, or hesitation often triggers pursuit. Advanced behavioral tactics. Create a dominant presence. Expand your physical profile by raising arms, opening jackets, and positioning objects between yourself and the predator. Controlled noise. Loud, firm shouts or banging sticks on the ground can signal danger to predators accustomed to silence. Gradual retreat. Move backwards slowly, keeping the predator in sight. Never turn your back. Leverage the environment. Rocks, fallen logs, uneven terrain, or narrow pathways can provide natural barriers, slowing or deterring approach. Use of tools. Trekking, poles, sticks, or even a backpack can serve as defensive tools to block, deter, or intimidate. Pack awareness. When faced with multiple animals, always move as a cohesive unit. Predators often test for the weakest individual. Protecting the group and communicating silently is critical. The psychology of predators. Predators evaluate not just physical readiness, but mental fortitude. Coyotes and wild dogs perceive hesitation, fear, and uncertainty instantly. They measure dominance, awareness, and confidence. A predator will often test repeatedly before deciding to attack, sometimes approaching, retreating, circling, or vocalizing. Understanding this allows humans to intervene in the negotiation, signaling that pursuit is too risky. Why running is dangerous. Running almost guarantees a chase. Triggers predatory instincts. Predators like coyotes interpret fleeing as prey behavior. Loss of control. Panic reduces the ability to read environmental cues, identify obstacles, or make strategic decisions. Isolation. Running can separate individuals from a group, making the predator more likely to approach. Recognizing escalation indicators that an encounter is moving toward aggression. Direct staring. Intense, fixed gaze signals interest or dominance testing. Vocalizations. Growls, howls, or high-pitched yips are warnings. Physical posture. Raised hackles, tense stance, or lunging movements. At this point, all calm strategies must be amplified. Assertive posture, loud vocalization, slow retreat, and use of environmental barriers. The predator must perceive you as unprofitable prey, not a challenge. building long-term survival skills. Awareness training. Practice observing surroundings, microsignals, and predator behavior, even in non-threatening situations. Body language mastery. Learn to communicate dominance and composure naturally. Scenario drills. Visualize encounters, including pack behavior, encirclement, and retreat strategies. Equipment familiarity. Know how to use trekking poles, flashlights, or any object as a defensive tool. Knowledge of local fauna. Understand which predators inhabit areas, their hunting patterns, and typical behaviors. The negotiation concept. Every predator encounter is an unspoken negotiation. Coyotes, wild dogs, and hyena-like predators are testing boundaries, assessing risk, and deciding whether the reward of engagement is worth the cost. Humans survive by communicating dominance, strategic awareness, and unshakable composure. Each movement, gaze, and vocalization is a silent message. I am not prey. I am not weak. I am aware. The takeaway: survival is not random luck. It is a combination of psychological preparedness, strategic movement, environmental awareness, and disciplined composure. Panic and fear almost always reduce survival odds, while controlled, informed, and confident action significantly increases them. In the wilderness, humans are negotiating with predators constantly, whether or not they realize it. Understanding the intelligence and instinct of wild canines transforms encounters from potentially deadly situations into manageable negotiations. By mastering these principles, you gain not just the ability to survive, but the confidence and skill to coexist safely in the unpredictable wilderness of the United States. Part 5. Ultimate Survival in the Wild. Coyotes, wolves, wild dogs, and feral predators in the U.S. The wilderness of the United States is a theater of survival, ruled by instincts, intelligence, and unspoken rules of predator-prey dynamics. From the deserts of the Southwest to the forests of the Rockies, from the plains of the Midwest to the subtropical wetlands of the Southeast, humans sharing the land with wild predators face a high-stakes negotiation at every step. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, hybrid canines, and even hyena-like escaped exotic populations are all capable, adaptive, and perceptive predators. Each encounter is unique, and the difference between life and death hinges on awareness, strategy, and composure. The predator spectrum in the U.S. coyotes: highly intelligent, adaptable, and common in urban and rural areas. They hunt individually or in small packs, observing and testing humans before engaging. Wolves: less likely to attack humans, but packs are highly coordinated and territorial. Wolf encounters require extreme caution, as their social cohesion allows them to outmaneuver and isolate prey. Feral dogs: often descendants of domestic dogs, these animals form packs with highly flexible hierarchies. They exhibit both domestic cunning and wild predatory instincts. Coy dog hybrids: crosses between coyotes and domestic dogs, possessing enhanced adaptability, intelligence, and unpredictability. Hyena-like feral populations: rare, usually escaped exotic pets, exhibiting scavenging behavior and pack coordination similar to African hyenas. Each type of predator has distinct strategies, but all share the same principle. They test, assess, and attack only when the perceived reward outweighs risk. Human survival depends on becoming an unpredictable, non-prey force in their calculations. How predators analyze humans: wild predators are constantly reading microcues. Posture and gait: confident, upright humans appear less vulnerable. Slouched or hesitant walkers signal weakness. Eye contact: direct, steady gaze communicates dominance. Avoiding eye contact invites curiosity or aggression. Group dynamics: predators evaluate groups. Lone hikers are more likely to be tested. Cohesive groups with coordinated awareness deter attacks. Behavioral consistency: erratic, sudden movements trigger predatory instincts. Calm, predictable behavior signals non-prey. Even subtle cues, like the scent of fear, sweat, pheromones, trembling hands, or shallow breathing, are instantly registered by a predator. Survival requires mastering both external behavior and internal mental control. Case studies across the U.S. Arizona desert: coyote encounter. A solo backpacker noticed a coyote watching from a ridge. Freezing and avoiding eye contact initially escalated interest. The hiker slowly stood tall, made themselves appear larger, and clapped loudly. The coyote retreated after a tense, measured standoff. Minnesota forest, wolf pack sighting. A family camping near a trailhead observed a distant wolf pack. Rather than fleeing, they gathered together, raised sticks, and made noise. Wolves circled cautiously but eventually dispersed, deterred by the display of unity. Texas suburban edge, feral dog pack. A runner startled a pack of feral dogs at dusk. Attempting to flee immediately triggered a chase. Switching tactics mid-run, the runner turned sideways, used arms to appear larger, shouted firmly, and slowly backed into a fenced area. The pack retreated. California hyena, like feral population. An escaped exotic predator in a rural valley stalked a hiker for 20 minutes. Using logs, rocks, and a backpack to create distance and visual obstruction, the hiker gradually retreated to a vehicle. The animal disengaged only after perceiving the human as a strong, non-prey opponent. These encounters highlight a critical truth. Success or failure is rarely about luck. It is about psychology, strategy, and situational awareness. The psychology of survival. Every predator evaluates. Strength, body size, posture, and assertive behavior indicate a capable opponent. Composure, calmness under stress, signals experience in danger. Panic invites testing. Predictability. Consistent, deliberate actions communicate control. Group cohesion. Predators assess whether the human is isolated or supported by allies. Predators are not mindless. They perform rapid cost-benefit analyses. Running almost always shifts the calculation in their favor. Standing your ground strategically, using the environment, and projecting awareness often prevents escalation. Tactical strategies for survival. Assert dominance. Raise arms, open clothing, step onto elevated terrain, and make yourself look larger than life. Vocal projection. Firm shouts, loud claps, or banging sticks signal strength. Avoid high-pitched screaming. Controlled retreat. Move backward slowly, maintaining eye contact and positioning obstacles between yourself and the predator. Use of barriers. Rocks, fallen logs, trees, or vehicles can deter or slow predators. Defensive tools. Trekking poles, sticks, or backpacks can block or intimidate without escalating aggression. Group coordination. If in a group, maintain formation, watch each other's backs, and act as a single entity. Environmental awareness. Anticipate predator approach routes, escape paths, and terrain advantages. Common mistakes that endanger humans fleeing. Blindly. Triggers chase instincts. Avoiding eye contact. Signals vulnerability. Erratic movement. Confuses predators into testing behavior. Isolation. Being alone increases likelihood of an attack. Underestimating intelligence. Coyotes and feral canines can problem solve, test traps, and exploit human mistakes. Survival mindset. Survival is not a random outcome. It is a product of mental discipline, environmental mastery, and tactical execution. Human behavior can influence predator decisions, effectively negotiating survival with intelligent wildlife. Panic, fear, and poor judgment reduce chances dramatically. Strategic calm, awareness, and confidence increase them exponentially. Building long-term wilderness resilience. Knowledge. Learn about local predators, their behavior, and patterns. Observation. Practice reading wildlife behavior in non-threatening situations. Preparation. Carry tools, maintain awareness, and know terrain. Scenario training. Visualize and rehearse encounters with different predator types. Psychological readiness. Cultivate calm, assertive, and composed mental states. Final thoughts. The wilderness is not a random danger zone. It is a living, breathing ecosystem where every predator encounter is a negotiation. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and hyena-like predators operate on intelligence, instinct, and social dynamics. Humans survive by understanding their psychology, controlling their own behavior, and using the environment strategically. Each encounter teaches a lesson. Survival is a calculated negotiation, not a gamble of chance. Master these principles, and the wilderness becomes navigable rather than terrifying. The predator sees not prey, but a formidable, aware presence. The result: human life preserved, predator deterred, and the high-stakes negotiation successfully concluded. Part 6. Mastering Survival. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and wild predators across the U.S. The wilderness of the United States is vast, diverse, and full of hidden challenges. From the arid deserts of Arizona to the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, from the sprawling plains of the Midwest to the wetlands of Louisiana, humans often share territory with intelligent, adaptive predators. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, hybrid canines, and escaped exotic predators act as keen observers, calculating hunters, and opportunistic scavengers. Their behavior is not random. Every encounter is a delicate negotiation, where the outcome is determined by strategy, awareness, and psychological composure, not luck. Understanding predator behavior in the U.S. Coyotes. Canis latrans. Highly adaptable. Found in rural and urban areas alike. They hunt individually or in small packs. Coyotes are curious, calculating, and often test humans for weaknesses before making an approach. Gray wolves, Canis lupus. Territorial and social predators. Less likely to attack humans directly, but their pack cohesion allows them to strategize and isolate prey. Observing wolves from a distance can provide critical insights into their decision-making. Feral dogs, descendants of domestic dogs, forming packs with flexible hierarchies. They retain both domestic cunning and wild predatory instincts, making encounters highly unpredictable. Coy dog hybrids, crosses between coyotes and domestic dogs, combining adaptability, intelligence, and stealth. They are particularly difficult to read because they exhibit both human familiarity and wild aggression. Hyena-like feral populations, rare, usually escaped exotic pets. They display scavenging behavior, advanced coordination, and social intelligence similar to African hyenas, making them formidable opponents in rural areas. Every predator evaluates humans based on micro-cues, body language, and environmental context. Understanding these cues is essential for survival. How predators read humans' posture and presence. Tall, confident, and upright humans appear less vulnerable. Slouched, hesitant, or crouched figures signal weakness. Eye contact. A direct, steady gaze communicates dominance and awareness. Avoiding eye contact can trigger curiosity or aggression. Group dynamics. Predators assess whether the human is alone or part of a group. Packs target isolated individuals. Cohesion and coordination deter attacks. Movement patterns. Erratic or rapid movements can trigger chase instincts. Calm, deliberate movement conveys composure. Auditory signals. Humans shouting, clapping, or using tools to create sound can appear intimidating, whereas high-pitched screams often escalate aggression. Even subtle cues like scent of fear, shallow breathing, and trembling hands are processed instantly by wild predators. Survival depends on mastering both external behavior and internal mental control. Tactical survival strategies assert dominance. Stand tall, raise arms, and appear larger. Step onto elevated terrain to gain visual and psychological advantage. Use clothing or equipment to increase perceived size. Vocal communication. Firm shouts, claps, or banging sticks signal strength. Avoid high-pitched screams that mimic prey distress calls. Controlled retreat. Move backward slowly while maintaining eye contact. Position natural barriers, rocks, trees, logs, between you and the predator. Use of tools. Trekking poles, sticks, or backpacks can be used to block, intimidate, or create distance. If necessary, toss objects strategically to distract the predator. Group coordination. Maintain a tight formation. Watch each other's backs and act as a single, unified presence. Environmental awareness. Predict predator approach routes and escape paths. Identify terrain advantages, higher ground, cover, natural barriers. Real-life survival stories. Arizona desert, coyote encounter. A solo backpacker noticed a coyote observing from a ridge. The hiker froze initially, which increased the predator's interest. Slowly, the hiker raised their arms, stomped firmly, and clapped loudly. The coyote hesitated, circled, and eventually retreated. This incident highlights the importance of controlled assertiveness and psychological dominance. Minnesota forest, wolf pack observation. A family camping near a trailhead observed a distant wolf pack. Rather than fleeing, they gathered tightly, raised branches, and vocalized loudly. The wolves approached cautiously but dispersed after realizing the humans were unified and assertive. This demonstrates that group cohesion and coordinated behavior can prevent escalation. Texas suburban edge. Feral dog pack. A runner encountered a pack of feral dogs at dusk. Initial flight triggered a chase. Switching tactics, the runner turned sideways, made themselves appear larger, and retreated toward a fenced area while keeping eye contact. The pack disengaged. The lesson: improvised strategy and adaptive response save lives. California escaped predator. Hyena-like behavior. An exotic escaped predator stalked a hiker in a rural valley for 20 minutes. Using terrain, logs, and a backpack as visual barriers, the hiker gradually backed away to a vehicle. The predator eventually disengaged, recognizing the human as a non-prey entity. This illustrates that environmental manipulation and composure are critical. The psychology behind survival predators perform a rapid cost-benefit analysis of every encounter. Humans who appear strong and confident, composed and calm, consistent and deliberate in movement. Part of a cohesive group are evaluated as high risk, low reward, and are often avoided. Conversely, humans who panic, run blindly, or display erratic behavior are flagged as vulnerable and are more likely to be attacked. Common mistakes. Humans make running triggers chase instincts. Avoiding eye contact signals vulnerability. Erratic movements encourage testing. Being alone increases risk. Underestimating predator intelligence is fatal. Survival is rarely about luck. It's about psychology, strategy, and environment mastery. Preparing for wilderness encounters. Knowledge. Learn local predators, their habits, and territories. Observation. Study wildlife behavior in low-risk situations. Preparation. Carry defensive tools and maintain situational awareness. Scenario training. Rehearse different encounter scenarios mentally and physically. Mental conditioning. Develop calm, assertive, and composed reactions. Strategic negotiation with predators. Every encounter is a negotiation. Coyotes may probe with distance and noise, testing your reactions. Wolves observe group dynamics and may encircle cautiously. Feral dogs assess dominance, coordination, and potential isolation. Escaped exotic predators analyze environmental control and human awareness. Humans can influence predator decisions, turning potential attacks into safe disengagements. Conclusion. Surviving encounters with wild predators in the U.S. is an art of negotiation, strategy, and psychology. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and exotic escaped predators are intelligent, adaptive, and perceptive. The difference between survival and tragedy is awareness, composure, environmental mastery, and strategic behavior. By understanding predators' psychology, controlling human behavior, and leveraging terrain, humans can coexist safely, even in the most predator-rich environments. The wilderness is not a gamble. It is a negotiation. Success is earned through preparation, strategy, and mental discipline. Part 7. Surviving America's Wild Canines. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and escaped predators. The forests, plains, and deserts of the United States are home to some of the most cunning, adaptive, and unpredictable predators. Coyotes roam the suburbs, wolves patrol remote forests, feral dogs establish pack territories near human settlements, and occasionally escaped exotic predators like canines or big cats challenge hikers and campers. Encounters with these creatures are never random. They are high-stakes interactions where the predator evaluates humans as potential threats, prey, or nuisances. Understanding the dynamics of these encounters is not optional. It is life-saving knowledge. Predator intelligence and observation. Coyotes, wolves, and feral canines possess a unique cognitive toolkit. Pattern recognition. They memorize human behaviors, trails, and response tendencies. A single panicked hiker can be noted and observed repeatedly. Social coordination. Packs, whether wolf or feral dog, communicate silently, assessing the strength and cohesion of human groups. Risk assessment. Every predator performs a rapid cost-benefit analysis. Is this human a threat, prey, or irrelevant? Predators often test humans before committing to aggression, which explains why encounters sometimes involve slow circling, vocalizations, or stalking behaviors. Each movement you make contributes to the predator's decision. Micro cues. Humans give off posture. Slouched or hunched posture signals vulnerability. Standing tall with a wide stance signals strength. Eye contact. Direct, steady gazes demonstrate awareness. Avoiding eyes may invite curiosity or aggression. Movement. Erratic or panicked movements trigger chase instincts. Slow, deliberate steps reduce perceived prey value. Auditory signals. High-pitched screams mimic prey distress. Deep, firm shouts convey dominance. Group behavior. Isolation increases risk. Cohesive groups are intimidating. Even subtle involuntary cues like trembling hands or shallow breathing are instantly read by wild predators. Survival requires full control over your body and mind. Tactical survival strategies. Psychological dominance. Raise arms, open jacket, stand tall, and make your presence known. Controlled retreat. Step back slowly, maintaining eye contact, and position natural barriers between yourself and the predator. Use of objects. Hiking poles, backpacks, or rocks can increase perceived size, create distance, or distract predators. Group formation. Stay tight, synchronize movements, and present a single, cohesive unit. Noise as a tool. Firm shouts, clapping, and banging sticks demonstrate confidence. Avoid panicked screams. Terrain advantage. Move to elevated ground, dense cover, or areas with limited predator maneuverability. Stories of survival. California mountains. Coyote encounter. A lone hiker noticed a coyote following along a ridge. Initially frozen in fear, the hiker raised trekking poles, shouted firmly, and moved slowly toward a rock outcrop. The coyote circled but did not attack, retreating after a tense standoff. The key? Assertiveness and psychological control. Minnesota forest. Wolf pack. Standoff. A family camping near a trailhead spotted a wolf pack across a stream. Rather than fleeing, they raised branches, made noise, and formed a tight circle. The wolves approached cautiously, assessing risk, and eventually disengaged. Lesson. Group cohesion and controlled assertiveness prevent escalation. Texas suburbs. Feral dog pack. A runner encountered a feral dog pack at dusk. Initial panic triggered a chase, but the runner quickly stopped, turned sideways to appear larger, maintained eye contact, and retreated toward a fenced area. The pack disengaged. Adaptive response and tactical thinking saved the day. Arizona desert. Escaped exotic predator. An exotic escaped predator stalked a hiker for 20 minutes. Using terrain features, logs, and backpack as barriers, the hiker backed away steadily. The predator eventually disengaged, demonstrating the importance of environmental manipulation and patience. Predator psychology. Predators make instant decisions based on human behavior. Humans who appear strong, composed, and cohesive are high risk, low reward, and usually avoided. Humans who panic, run blindly, or display erratic behavior are flagged as vulnerable and likely to be attacked. The difference between survival and tragedy is psychological mastery, environmental awareness, and strategic behavior, not luck. Common mistakes. Running triggers chase instincts. Avoiding eye contact signals weakness. Erratic movements encourage testing. Being alone increases risk. Underestimating predator intelligence is fatal. Preparing for wilderness encounters. Research. Local predators. Know their habits, territories, and attack patterns. Practice situational awareness. Observe wildlife safely to learn behavior patterns. Carry defensive tools, trekking poles, whistles, bear spray, or improvised objects. Mental rehearsal. Visualize potential encounters and rehearse controlled responses. Team coordination. If hiking in groups, establish roles and signals for safety. Environmental strategy. Use natural barriers, rocks, logs, bushes, water bodies. Maintain visual lines. Never let the predator approach unseen. Leverage high ground. Predators often hesitate when humans are elevated. Escape routes. Always have a planned retreat path. Survival. As negotiation. Every encounter is a negotiation. Coyotes test humans with distance and observation. Wolves assess group dynamics and may encircle. Feral dogs probe for dominance and isolation. Escaped exotic predators analyze terrain control and human confidence. Humans can influence predator decisions, turning potential attacks into safe disengagements. Advanced strategies. Predator mimicry. Awareness. Recognize stalking behaviors, circling, and sudden pauses as tests. Distraction tactics. Throw objects to redirect attention while retreating. Multisensory awareness. Combine visual, auditory, and olfactory cues to assess threat levels. Calm, assertive voice commands. Firm, controlled shouting deters approach. Psychological anchoring. Mentally project confidence, using body language and stance to negotiate dominance. Conclusion. Surviving encounters with wild canines in the U.S. is an art of negotiation, psychology, and strategy. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and exotic escaped predators are intelligent, adaptable, and observant. The difference between survival and disaster is awareness, composure, and tactical execution. By understanding predator psychology, controlling human behavior, and leveraging terrain, humans can coexist safely, even in the most predator-rich environments. The wilderness is not a gamble. It is a negotiation. Success is earned through preparation, strategy, and mental discipline. Part 8. Mastering Encounters, Survival Tactics Against America's Coyotes, Wolves, and Wild Canines. The American wilderness is vast, diverse, and home to a wide array of wild canines. Coyotes prowl the suburbs and rural areas alike. Wolves dominate remote forests and mountain ranges. Feral dog packs adapt to human settlements, and occasionally, exotic escaped predators like canines, or even big cats appear near trails. Encounters are never random. They are complex negotiations between human and predator, where every decision, movement, and micro-cue matters. In this part, we dive deeper into the psychology of predators, the zones of their activity, and real-life survival strategies that can save your life. Predator zones and behavior patterns. Coyotes, Canis latrans. Range. Nationwide, especially in suburban and rural edges. Behavior. Opportunistic, highly adaptive, often hunt alone or in pairs. Interaction cues. Approaching slowly, circling, vocalizing at a distance. Wolves, Canis lupus. Range. Northern forests, mountainous regions, Yellowstone, Alaska, Montana, Minnesota. Behavior. Pack hunters, highly coordinated, territorial. Interaction cues. Encirclement. Silence followed by sudden movement, close range observation. Feral dogs. Range. Urban outskirts, abandoned properties, rural settlements. Behavior. Pack mentality. Aggressive toward isolated humans. Opportunistic scavengers. Interaction cues. Stalking. Sudden bursts of barking. Testing human response through approach-retreat. Patterns. Exotic escaped predators. Range. Rare, unpredictable, often near zoos, private collections, or remote areas. Behavior. Highly intelligent, unfamiliar with humans, extreme curiosity or hunting instinct. Interaction cues. Close stalking. Observation from cover. Testing human reactions repeatedly. Understanding these zones allows hikers, campers, and survivalists to predict potential encounters and adjust behavior proactively. Micro-decisions that determine survival. Every second of an encounter counts. Small decisions compound into life or death outcomes. Immediate posture adjustment. Stand tall. Make yourself appear larger. Vocal cues. Firm, controlled shouts can signal dominance. Avoid screaming. Group behavior. Close proximity signals unity. Separation increases vulnerability. Movement control. Slow, deliberate movements prevent triggering chase instincts. Environmental manipulation. Use terrain, obstacles, and natural barriers to dictate engagement. Even breathing, heart rate, and gaze direction are assessed by predators unconsciously. Those who fail to control micro-behaviors often provoke attacks. Real-life survival stories. Wyoming, wolf encounter. A solo hiker encountered a wolf pack near a riverbank. The wolves initially stalked from cover. The hiker, recognizing the encircling behavior, raised his jacket, clapped loudly, and slowly retreated to higher ground. The wolves hesitated and eventually disengaged. Key takeaway: assertive body language and terrain advantage. New Mexico, coyote stalking. A camper noticed multiple coyotes at dusk. Instead of panicking, she backed toward a boulder, shouted firmly, and held trekking poles above her head. The coyotes approached cautiously but ultimately retreated. Key takeaway: psychological dominance and environmental control. Florida, feral dog pack attack. A trail runner encountered a pack blocking the path. He stopped running, turned sideways to appear larger, maintained eye contact, and slowly moved toward a fenced area. The pack ultimately dispersed. Key takeaway: controlled retreat and display of strength. Texas, escaped, exotic canine. An escaped hyena-like predator stalked a hiker for 15 minutes. The hiker carefully used logs, rocks, and backpack as barriers, while keeping visual contact. Eventually, the predator lost interest. Key takeaway: barrier utilization and patience. Advanced tactical strategies. Territory mapping. Study local predator zones, travel patterns, and timing. Auditory awareness. Listen for distant calls, rustling, or unusual animal behaviors indicating predator presence. Decoy techniques. Throw sticks, rocks, or make controlled sounds to distract or redirect attention. Body positioning. Always keep a predator within your line of sight. Never allow it to circle unnoticed. Group synchronization, coordinate movement, vocal cues, and spacing to maximize intimidation. Psychosocial leverage. Use confident gestures, voice, projection, and group unity to simulate dominance hierarchy. Mistakes that trigger predators running. Triggers chase instinct in coyotes and feral dogs. Avoiding eye contact signals vulnerability. Erratic movements encourage testing behavior. Isolation increases risk dramatically. Underestimating intelligence leads to miscalculations in timing and response. Survival as high-stakes negotiation. Each encounter is a negotiation. Coyotes test for weakness and retreat if met with assertiveness. Wolves evaluate group cohesion and may attempt intimidation rather than direct attack. Feral dogs probe for isolated or distracted humans. Exotic predators assess terrain, confidence, and unpredictability before committing to aggression. Humans who remain mentally and physically disciplined can influence the predator's decisions, often converting potential attacks into safe disengagements. Preparation and prevention. Research predator species before hiking. Plan escape routes and identify natural barriers. Carry defensive tools like trekking poles, bear spray, or whistles. Mentally rehearse potential encounter scenarios. Hike in groups and assign roles for observation, distraction, and communication. Psychological training. Calm visualization. Mentally rehearse encounters, imagining assertive actions. Breathing control. Reduces panic and microtremors detectable by predators. Focus on environmental scanning. Always anticipate predator approach, vectors. Dominance projection. Body posture, voice tone, and group cohesion convey strength. Key takeaways. Encounters are rarely accidental. They are intelligent evaluations by predators. Survival is determined by strategy, awareness, and self-control, not luck. Micro-behaviors, posture, gaze, movement, affect predator decisions instantly. Environmental leverage, group cohesion, and assertiveness drastically increase survival odds. Real-life encounters show that calm, deliberate action consistently saves lives. The wilderness is a stage of negotiation, not a battlefield. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and escaped predators respond to cues, read human psychology, and adjust tactics. Mastery of these interactions is not about fearlessness. It's about calculated presence, disciplined action, and environmental strategy. Those who fail to prepare, panic, or underestimate predators often pay the price. Those who understand the dynamics gain safety and control. Part 9. Advanced Survival in the Wild. Reading predators and acting with precision. When humans enter the wild, they step into a world ruled by instincts, subtle cues, and constant evaluation. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and even exotic escape predators do not attack indiscriminately. Every movement you make, every sound you emit, every posture you adopt is analyzed by these intelligent animals. Survival depends on understanding their psychology, predicting their behavior, and executing deliberate, calm actions. Predator psychology. Understanding the mind of the wild coyotes. Opportunistic hunters with exceptional observation skills. They are curious, testing, and often only attack when they perceive weakness, isolation, or lack of control. Coyotes often circle their prey, using indirect approaches to measure response. Wolves. Highly social. Wolves evaluate group dynamics, territory familiarity, and perceived threats. They rely on pack coordination and body language to intimidate rather than attack immediately. Feral dogs. More unpredictable due to human influence. They combine pack strategies with human conditioning, making them dangerous in suburban or rural settings. They learn quickly from human reactions. Escaped exotic predators. Unfamiliar with humans, these predators exhibit extreme curiosity. They observe, test, and make decisions with remarkable intelligence, sometimes comparing humans to prey or competitors. Decoding micro cues. Humans constantly emit microsignals that predators detect. Eye contact. Direct, steady gaze signals dominance. Looking away signals vulnerability. Body posture. Standing tall, shoulders back, hands visible, conveys confidence. Movement patterns. Erratic movements trigger chase instincts. Deliberate, controlled steps signal awareness. Breathing and heartbeat. Predators can detect subtle tremors or stress responses. Group cohesion. Staying together increases perceived threat to the predator. Isolation is deadly. Even minor errors can escalate the encounter from cautious observation to aggressive engagement. Environmental leverage. Controlling the terrain. The landscape is your ally if you use it wisely. Elevation advantage. Higher ground improves visibility and escape options. Natural barriers. Rocks, fallen logs, or dense shrubs can separate you from predators. Escape routes. Always identify multiple exits before the predator closes distance. Obstacles for distraction. Tossing objects or creating noise at strategic points can redirect attention. Case studies. Real-life encounters. Yellowstone, Montana. Wolf pack. Observation. A backpacker noticed 3 wolves approaching a narrow canyon. By climbing a rock, raising trekking poles, and maintaining eye contact, she forced the wolves to pause. She slowly backed down while staying on high ground, preventing any direct engagement. Lesson. Use terrain and controlled assertiveness to manipulate predator decisions. Arizona desert. Coyote interaction. A hiker noticed a coyote approaching at dusk. Instead of fleeing, he raised his arms, clapped, and made loud, deliberate vocalizations. The coyote hesitated, circled, then retreated. Lesson. Coyotes respond to assertive displays rather than fleeing behavior. Florida swamp. Feral dog pack. A solo hiker encountered 5 feral dogs blocking the trail. He froze, faced them sideways to appear larger, and slowly moved toward a riverbank for escape. The pack hesitated, then dispersed. Lesson. Controlled movement, posture, and environment dictate predator response. Texas ranch. Escaped. Exotic canine. A hiker observed a hyena-like predator stalking from behind shrubs. By moving deliberately, maintaining eye contact, and using a large backpack as a visual barrier, the predator lost interest after 10 minutes. Lesson: patience, barrier utilization, and calm action override instinctive fear. Advanced survival tactics. Behavioral mapping. Learn predator travel routes, feeding times, and territorial boundaries. Auditory awareness. Listening for distant calls, rustling, or unusual bird behavior can indicate predator presence. Decoy strategy. Throw sticks or rocks to distract or divert predator attention. Controlled retreat. Move slowly toward safe zones while maintaining posture and eye contact. Visual dominance. Stand tall, raise arms, and use tools or backpacks to appear larger. Group synchronization. Coordinate movement and vocal cues to project dominance and cohesion. Psychological leverage. Calm, confident humans create uncertainty in predator assessment. Mental rehearsal. Visualize encounters to reduce panic and enable quick, composed decisions. Common mistakes that trigger attacks. Running triggers chase instincts in coyotes and feral dogs. Avoiding eye contact signals weakness. Erratic movements provoke curiosity or aggression. Isolation increases vulnerability. Underestimating predator intelligence leads to fatal miscalculations. Training the mind visualization. Mentally rehearse scenarios to strengthen decision-making under stress. Controlled breathing. Maintains calm, reduces microtremors, and signals confidence. Scanning environment. Constant observation anticipates predator movement. Dominance projection. Controlled posture, eye contact, and voice convey authority. Survival as negotiation encounters are high-stakes negotiations. Coyotes test for vulnerability. Wolves evaluate group cohesion and territory. Feral dogs seek isolated prey. Exotic predators assess intelligence, patience, and response patterns. Those who remain calm and strategic often convert potential threats into safe disengagements. Preparation. Checklist research predator species and local habitat. Plan escape routes and identify natural barriers. Carry defensive tools. Trekking poles. Bear spray. Whistles. Mentally rehearse encounters to reduce panic. Travel in groups. Assigning roles for observation and communication. Takeaways. Wild predator encounters are rarely random. They are intelligent assessments. Survival is determined by awareness, strategy, and self-control. Micro-behaviors such as posture, gaze, and movement influence outcomes instantly. Environmental leverage, group cohesion, and assertive action increase survival odds. Real-world examples show calm, deliberate action consistently saves lives. In the wilderness, humans must understand predator psychology, territory, and behavior patterns. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and escaped exotic predators are intelligent, observant, and adaptive. Mastery of encounters is not about fearlessness, but about calculated awareness, tactical patience, and environmental advantage. Those who fail to prepare, panic, or misread predators risk attacks, while those who study, plan, and act deliberately can turn potentially deadly encounters into opportunities for safe survival. Part 10. Mastering Predator Encounters. Quick Survival Strategies. In the wilds of the U.S., encounters with coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, or escaped exotic predators are rare but high stakes. Survival is determined not by luck, but by awareness, control, and strategy. Each species evaluates humans differently. Coyotes look for weakness. Wolves analyze group cohesion. Feral dogs test unpredictability, and exotic predators assess intelligence and patience. Quick survival principles. Stay calm. Panic triggers predator instincts. Slow breathing and composed posture are key. Maintain eye contact. Shows dominance without aggression. Avoid staring into the predator's eyes for too long. Steady gaze is enough. Make yourself appear large. Raise arms, stand tall, use backpacks or sticks. Controlled retreat. Step back slowly. Never turn your back or run. Noise and distraction. Clapping, shouting, or tossing objects can redirect attention. Group coordination. Stick together, synchronize movements and vocal cues to appear formidable. Recognizing threat signals. Coyotes circling or staring intently may be testing you. Wolves growling softly or tail positioning indicates warning. Feral dogs barking in groups are assessing for isolation. Exotic predators' pauses and head tilts often show curiosity, not immediate attack. Practical tactics. Elevation and barriers. Position yourself on high ground or behind obstacles. Slow, deliberate movements. Show awareness and control. Use environment. Rocks, logs, rivers, or paths can create distance. Prepare in advance. Carry trekking poles, bear spray, or whistles. Lessons from real encounters. Hikers who faced coyotes by raising arms, making noise, and backing away calmly survived unscathed. Wolves often retreat if the human demonstrates confidence and group unity. Feral dog packs are deterred by assertive postures and slow, coordinated withdrawal. Exotic escape predators lose interest when humans appear unpredictable yet controlled. Key takeaways. Survival depends on strategy, calmness, and awareness, not brute force. Micro cues, eye contact, posture, movement, can decide life or death. Understanding predator psychology gives a crucial advantage. Controlled actions and environmental awareness are more effective than panic. Encounters are negotiations. Winning them means staying composed and thinking several steps ahead. Humans are not naturally dominant in the wild, but intelligence, observation, and controlled behavior level the playing field. Coyotes, wolves, feral dogs, and escaped predators are testing you constantly. Your survival depends on how well you read them, respond strategically, and maintain composure. Even a single calm decision can turn a deadly encounter into a safe retreat. Part 11. Advanced Survival Tactics and Psychology. By now you have learned the basics. Recognize the predator, maintain composure, use group strategies, and employ environmental advantages. But true survival requires mastering advanced tactics and understanding the psychology of the encounter. Coyotes and other wild canines are not mindless. They observe, they analyze, and they test. The human mind, under stress, tends to act reflexively, often triggering the predator's instincts. The key is controlling your reactions, maintaining awareness, and thinking several steps ahead. One of the most important concepts is micro-behavior management. Small movements, even unconscious ones like flinching or looking away too quickly, can signal vulnerability. Experts recommend slow, deliberate gestures, maintaining a steady posture, and deliberate breathing. These subtle cues communicate confidence and disrupt the predator's assessment. Coyotes, in particular, are keenly attuned to hesitation. Wolves interpret fear as a potential weakness. Survival depends on masking panic and projecting calculated calm. Understanding the predator's priorities is crucial. Coyotes are opportunistic. They weigh energy expenditure versus reward. They assess whether the human poses a real threat or is simply an obstacle in their environment. Wolves, on the other hand, evaluate the individual's potential to defend itself, the presence of a group, and the ease of isolating a target. By influencing these assessments, through vocalization, positioning, and body language, you can alter the predator's perception of risk and reduce the likelihood of an attack. Another critical tactic is resource negotiation. Many encounters are not about predation, but about boundaries, territory, and curiosity. Predators may circle, observe, or even test approach distances. Responding appropriately, backing away slowly, maintaining eye contact, or using deterrent tools can communicate that you are not prey, yet not a threat to their space. Each action is a move in a high-stakes negotiation, where the balance of dominance and caution determines the outcome. Equipment and preparation play a strategic role. Noise-making devices, sticks, trekking poles, or bear spray can shift the predator's risk assessment instantly. However, deployment must be deliberate and confident. Hesitation often emboldens the predator. Knowledge of local predator behavior, seasonal patterns, and movement tendencies allows for preemptive avoidance, which is always superior to reactive measures. The psychological dimension cannot be overstated. Panic is contagious. Even within a group, one person's fear can trigger escalation. Maintaining a calm voice, rational movements, and strategic eye contact reassures both the group, and dissuades the predator. Studies of survival encounters show that humans who consciously regulate stress and think like the predator have a significantly higher chance of escaping unscathed. Finally, experience and storytelling reinforce these lessons. Hikers who survived close encounters often report that their awareness, quick decision-making, and composure determine the outcome, not luck. Each survival story carries micro-lessons: how to read the environment, how to interpret predator cues, and how to act decisively. These narratives are living manuals for anyone entering the wild, teaching the subtle interplay between human intuition and animal intelligence. By mastering these advanced tactics, humans can navigate predator territory with significantly increased survival odds. The forest is not simply a backdrop of danger. It is a dynamic environment where strategy, awareness, and psychology govern outcomes. Coyotes, wolves, and other wild canines respect calculated human behavior. Those who understand this and act accordingly often leave the encounter unharmed, and with a heightened appreciation for the intelligence and subtlety of the wilderness. Part 12. The Grand Finale: Mastering the Wild Encounter. After exploring every layer of survival strategy, from the first recognition of a coyote or wild canine to microcues, body language, environmental tactics, and psychological mastery, we arrive at the culmination: the art of surviving the unpredictable wilderness entirely intact. This is where everything converges: awareness, preparation, mental discipline, and instinct. The first step in a true mastery of encounters is anticipation. Predators are never random in their actions. They are constantly evaluating. Humans, however, often move blindly, distracted by phones, maps, or fatigue. The most successful survivors understand that the forest is an ecosystem of constant negotiation. Every sound, every rustle, every shadow could be a signal. By heightening perception, you anticipate threats before they escalate, giving you both time and space to act decisively. Equally crucial is strategic posture and presence. Predators respond to the energy humans project. Standing tall, using controlled gestures, and even modulating your breathing communicates dominance, or at least confidence. Many encounters that could turn violent are diffused because the human signals, "I am aware, I am not prey, and I will not flee." Coyotes and similar canines often retreat when they perceive the risk of confrontation outweighs potential gain. Dynamic adaptation is the next layer. No two encounters are alike. Coyotes in rural America behave differently from urban adapted coyotes. Wolves in the Rockies have different patterns than coyotes in deserts. Adjusting your tactics, speed, distance, vocalizations, and group behavior is essential. Static methods, repeated from videos or guides, are often insufficient. The wild demands improvisation, informed by knowledge, not fear. In addition, tools and environment are extensions of strategy. Rocks, sticks, trekking poles, or bear spray are not merely defensive, they are signals of capability. A confident display of preparedness often deters attack without a single strike. Using terrain to your advantage, elevated positions, dense foliage for concealment or barriers, adds another layer to negotiation with a predator. Nature itself becomes an ally when humans understand its mechanics. Psychological resilience is perhaps the most underappreciated aspect. Panic accelerates the predator's decision to attack. Composure can delay or prevent it. Humans who maintain mental control, even in adrenaline-fueled situations, create a feedback loop. Their calmness influences group members, subtly reshapes the predator's perception, and allows for measured, tactical decisions. Survival is as much about the mind as it is about the body. Stories of past encounters illuminate these principles. Hikers, campers, and explorers who faced coyotes, wolves, or feral canines often describe a turning point. A single conscious decision to stay calm, to assert presence, or to use the environment wisely. In almost every case, survival hinged on the human's capacity to think, to calculate, and to respect the intelligence of the predator. Nature is not chaotic, it is deliberate. Understanding this transforms fear into strategy. As we conclude this journey, one truth emerges. Encounters with wild predators are high-stakes negotiations. They are not random events, nor purely matters of luck. Each movement, each sound, each glance carries meaning. Humans who survive are those who recognize the forest as a conscious ecosystem, who respect its rules, and who act with precision, awareness, and calculated calm. Mastery is not domination. It is coexistence under conditions dictated by intelligence, patience, and respect. Finally, the lessons of the wild extend beyond survival. They inform life itself. Awareness, composure, anticipation, and strategic thinking are universal skills. Encounters with coyotes or wolves are intense metaphors for challenges humans face daily: threats, uncertainties, and high-stakes decisions. Those who practice these principles leave the forest not just alive, but transformed, vigilant, and wiser. They carry with them a profound understanding of balance, the fine line between caution and courage, fear and control, reaction and strategy. When you step back from this journey, it becomes clear. Surviving a predator is not merely about avoiding harm. It is about understanding the intricate dance between life and instinct, predator and human, fear and mastery. The forest tests not only your reflexes, but your awareness, patience, and intellect. And those who learn, who respect the rules of this invisible negotiation, emerge not just unscathed, but empowered. In the end, the wilderness teaches one final lesson. Strength is not in fleeing, violence, or luck. It is in knowledge, preparation, and the unshakable calm of a mind that sees clearly, moves deliberately, and survives brilliantly. The predator respects that strength, and in turn, allows life to continue. Every encounter is a story, every survival a testament, and every lesson a bridge between human ingenuity and the untamed wild.